Yeah, I think I need new headphones. These are kind of coming apart.
Oh, are they? Yeah, I was about to say I've been through about 4 pairs of those in my life here in this apartment over the last 4 years.
Right.
So they are very good at isolating.
Yeah, take a look at these.
Yeah, that's.
But you can replace those.
Yeah.
Just the ear parts are easy to replace.
Or you can get yourself a slightly more expensive, like slightly nicer pair that'll last a little longer. I got these with these actually have leather ear cups on them.
Very nice.
It's like you're listening to a cow every day.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, don't try to talk to me about leather on cows. They're
Oh
gonna kill.
I know.
I know.
That wasn't a vegan thing. That was just a funny joke. Is all.
Yeah. It's nice to have the leather.
I think I've gone on record as saying that leather boots and like leather belts and stuff, that with how long they last, are ultimately ecologically kind of positive.
Probably the nicest thing you can do for a cow. Let them live on forever. What are you going to do? Give a cow a tombstone, right? You're going to give a cow a grave? Like, that's boring. Turn them into a jacket.
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't be buying new leather myself, but buying used leather, I think, is very good. But every once in a while, you don't.
I wouldn't buy new leather because new leather almost universally is just shellacked cardboard, that they call leather.
Yeah.
Hi there. Do you know any good news I can make money with? This is episode 347 of Insert Credit, where every week my panel of video game experts dances to the tune of a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and I've been featured on NPR 0 times.
I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I've personally been featured on NPR. I don't know. Is this a humble brag? Like, I don't really...
You just got to say the truth.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know that the Video Game History Foundation has been on NPR, I don't know, 6 times or something. But I kind of don't remember what most of my interviews were. They're just like things on my calendar. But I believe I've personally been on NPR 2 or 3 times.
Once you hit your 3rd time, you're allowed to call it the Nipper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm Tim Rogers, and I've been featured on NPR 0 times.
I'm Brandon Sheffield. I've been featured on NPR, I would say -1 times.
Oh, explain, please.
I've probably mentioned this before, but I got asked as editor-in-chief of Game Developer Magazine to comment on some Call of Duty and violence in video games stuff.
Yeah, and that one Minecraft cover.
I'm sorry, man. The internet loves the cover. You're gonna have to let it go. But anyway,
that's not true.
It is. Well,
it's like what, like 3 of your friends from high school.
Oh no, it's not. It's not people that I know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
That's
the point.
Not true.
The point
it's
is
it's somebody Brandon knew in middle school.
That's not correct.
Brandon.
They did the whole interview. I went to the studio. I did the interview, and then like some big event happened. Like there was a war started.
9/11. Yeah.
9/11. And they cut the whole segment. I wasn't the subject of the segment. I was one of the interviewees, but they just cut the segment. So I've been on.
They do that.
I'm gonna call that -1 times because I did all the work. I went in there. I did I researched. I got my talking points good, and then I they just went ahead and didn't do it. So the end. -1.
They do that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's not a lot of overlap between NPR and Insert Credit. So I'm going to ask you, Frank, the original Resident Evil is back from the dead. What took so long?
Okay, that was the segment on All Things Considered.
Wait, was that the question they asked you, Frank? Was that literally it?
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They found you for that?
Well, yeah, Video Game History Foundation.
Okay.
Was the interviewer wearing like a big Borsalino fedora with a press card in the band?
But
was
let's be clear.
The follow up question, how long has it been since Pac-Man? Do you think?
Hang on, let's be clear.
How far have we come since
Phil
Pong?
over the wall over there? Phil, speak up. Hi, Phil. Phil, this was someone that you had spoken to previously, right? And they came to you because they're like, you're the history guy. right?
Yes.
Okay, so this was someone that we had a previous relationship to from them covering our game availability study last year. The
Oh, right.
87% thing. Yeah. So it wasn't like, he just went cold calling history people. He went to Phil, who's the history guy that he knows. And I, having, done a GDC talk about this exact subject, was like, that's me, give me that. So yes, the question was, why did it take so long for the original Resident Evil to come back in print? And the answer to that is watch my GDC talk from 2016. It's real good.
I mean, I guess a thing such as the original Resident Evil being re-released on GOG, is that the occasion?
Yeah,
it's like on GOG,
and it has been out of print since it came out. Was the premise?
It is. I mean, I would say as good an occasion as any, but let's go ahead and upgrade that too. It's a little bit better an occasion than any other. It's a little bit better that to just kind of beat the drum of hey, a lot of these games are not legally available and not easily readily available. And that's, as Frank has said in public, professionally many times, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
We should have more of that stuff. Imagine if Frank Sinatra wasn't on Spotify. Frank Sinatra's definitely on Spotify, right?
He's definitely on Spotify. Yeah.
It's like, imagine if Frank Sinatra wasn't on Spotify. That's weird, right? The video games basically have that situation.
Yep. 9 out of 10 of them from prior to 2010 are
you just
not available. Yeah.
You can't plunk some money into a digital storefront and have them.
Yeah, and it's, I don't think this is a surprise to anyone who listens to Intercredit, but the explanation I gave essentially is that the best analogy is, imagine if movies that came out on VHS only ever came out on VHS, and that was your only option, was to find a VHS copy. Brandon, can you imagine such a world?
I was going to say that's what my house looks like.
But a lot of people don't understand that you can't just like drag and drop the game. Like games are made for specific platforms. And when I was a kid, the Sega CD was out, and then like the 3DO came out, and I was a child. I didn't understand that you couldn't just put a Sega CD game in the 3DO. It's like, it's just there. It's a game. It takes a minute for you to understand technology enough to know that these things are not compatible. And it's just a thing that people don't understand unless they have some notion of how software works. And even then, it then takes another leap to understand that converting it to a different platform is a non-zero amount of work. And then from there, you have to say that non-zero amount of work typically, in most cases, is more money, more expenditure than you are likely to make in profit, at least this quarter. Yeah. And most video game companies are very immediate profit driven and not long tail profit driven.
Yeah, that all makes sense. As an aside, I feel like, to your Sega CD 3DO point, I feel like probably anyone who is old enough to have owned a Saturn while it was relevant, even if they knew it couldn't play Genesis games, I'm pretty sure all of us took a cartridge and just
tried putting it in there.
Tried put it in the back of the Saturn where there's a cart slot, and be like, what if it did? Just
Does
in
it
case.
Fit? I don't even know.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't fit.
It'll go in there though.
It's a very cartridge slotty looking cartridge slot that can fit and can accommodate the plastic of a Sega Genesis cartridge and a 32X cartridge, and you would imagine why not?
So you can feel like something might happen because you don't know if it's situated in there. You can definitely put the cartridge inside. It's not slotted in to the actual the PCB is not going into the teeth in there, but you can put the cart in there and be like, what? But what if it works?
Just look at that, yeah. And it's also, what if you could just put Sega CD games in the CD drive and play those, and Sega 32X CD games in the CD drive and play them on there? It's not that they weren't thinking of that stuff. It's that they didn't have they didn't have airtight reasons to think about that stuff back then, I guess, because everybody was blazing forward, But Sega's been very good at offering their back catalog with their Sega Ages series and their, all of that. So they've been better than most
Yeah, and that's something that is worth mentioning as well, that there are very few companies with an extensive back catalog on a fairly finite amount of platforms, and Sega is one of them, and Nintendo theoretically is also one of them, but that's not something that they tend to focus on.
Next question. What has never been good in a video game?
Stealth segments in non-stealth video games are kind of they are the goddarn snake bite on the ankle of stealth video games.
Yeah.
Because I know more people who say they hate stealth video games because they played a bad stealth segment in a non-stealth video game whose developers thought, oh, how hard can it be? You don't even fight anybody. And it's popular. Might as well do it. And it's actually just kind of I don't know. I think those have never been good.
Yeah, I
think, in my opinion.
Also, now, never is probably too extreme for this one, but certainly rarely the tactics game escort mission, because I think there might be an exception, but largely those have a character that needs protecting barreling into enemy lines, just going straight for danger. And just like trying to get themselves killed in ways that are difficult to deal with when there's like less straightforward AI from the enemies going around as well. But there's probably an exception to that. It might not be a never situation.
I'm not going to defend any specific instances of it the way I would. So first of all, when gamers talk about this stuff, what do they always say? Random battles, ice levels, right? I'm fine with both of those things, and one of those things I actually love. So, similarly, I've played some tactics games, escort missions that I like, that I feel like kind of a weirdo for liking. It's on the base, the foundational level. It's pretty neat. It's basically football, you know.
No, it's a good concept, and but I feel like it is similar to the stealth mission in a non-stealth game, where they didn't design the game around this idea. They shoved it in there, and so in the shove it in
the
there,
game design happens to accommodate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about stealth, escort missions, but like I didn't mind it in Resident Evil 4, so I backed off.
Oh yeah, that one was okay.
The whole game eco is an escort mission, so
it's true.
Well, that is not a so.
That's why I said tactics game specifically.
Right. Yeah, and like I was thinking about that too. Like, but it's the same as what you said about in non-stealth games, right? So in non-escort games, I wonder if Resident Evil 4 is an escort game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So one that I'm again 90%. I'm sure there's an exception, but when you can't actually kill the guy that you have to fight a battle with, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like, when it's a battle you can't avoid.
Scripted loss.
But it's a scripted loss. I'm sure there's something that subverted that and made it interesting, but the grand majority of the time it's incredibly frustrating at worst, and at best it's like fine. It's like, oh, okay. That guy left now. Like I haven't seen it be interesting or super cool, but I believe it can be. I just haven't seen it. But maybe I played the wrong stuff. But I'll
say the existence of the scripted loss makes other things incidentally a lot cooler. Like from software games, when you assume, oh, there's no way I'm supposed to beat that boss, but yeah, you are.
Yeah. Like the opening boss in every From Software game can be beaten, and there's a little extra treat or trinket for doing so. And then there are some where you'll win, by using extreme ridiculous tactics, and then the game just kills you in another way. That's funny. Like the ground just falls out from under your feet. Very funny, because they're supposed, those battles exist. I mean, I think the From Software bosses basically, in my opinion, count as a decent implementation of a scripted loss. I do have a couple examples off the top of my head.
But it's because you don't necessarily lose.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, there is a scripted loss in there, but that's not the only outcome that's possible.
I want to theorize out loud here that everyone dies the first time to their first From Software opening boss?
I would assume so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's gotta be, right? To the Demon Souls, the guy in Demon Souls. I don't think anybody beat that guy the first time they played that game.
One person probably did. They just kept reloading and being like, I can do it.
Well, I mean, sure, but I mean, you die and it immediately auto saves and begins the story because they basically those battles exist to teach you that you die in these games and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I want to add to this. I think I don't mind scripted. You have to lose things in general. I mind it in situations with consumable items. So I think we should specify that. Like I'm okay with like, I don't know, when a JRPG begins with an impossible battle and that's just part of the story and that's the start of it. Like that's
Final Fantasy
fine.
2.
Right.
Yeah. It's fine. It's not good necessarily.
It's okay. It is. I actually think it's okay. Like, especially in a game like that where the storytelling can sometimes be through menu battles, you know, like it is telling you that you can't fight this thing yet through gameplay. I think that's actually okay and sometimes interesting. But when it's not okay is when there's no warning. Later in the game, you have all these rare consumable items and you think it's possible to beat it and you might end up using up things that you wouldn't have used otherwise.
Yeah. I often talk about Yggdra Union, a game where they say, don't go fight this guy, he's too difficult. And then you go and do it. And then you can beat the character down to 1 HP and then they're just invincible after that. And it's like, oh, okay, I used all my stuff to get here. It's so frustrating. But I do have another one that I'm pretty sure is mostly bad, which is getting killed for going off the path. Like in your Call of Duties, you get off a little bit and then they throw a grenade at you. And you just instantly die.
Never join the Marines, Brandon.
That's right. I should.
I like how Jack and Daxter won. If you try to swim off the out into the horizon in the water, you just get eaten by a huge fish.
Yeah,
that's
so
funny.
I think they can be funny. So I guess I should say I don't mind if there's even an invisible barrier or something that makes you sink out into the world if you get like way out there. But if you're like 2 seconds off the main path and it's like you better get back there, we're gonna blow you up. That's just it's just annoying. It's annoying when combined with a game that looks like it is supposed to give you freedom, which Call of Duty basically always looks like, oh, you could go wherever.
I don't know if freedom is exactly it's what you fight for.
That's what you fight for.
But it's not what you fight with.
Yeah.
It's very based on my upbringing, having grown up on U.S. military installations around the world, I can tell you they're pretty regimented about stuff.
Oh yeah,
God darn supermarkets all look exactly the same.
My grandfather who had exactly one haircut since age 17. I think I can understand.
I think I know what kind of haircut that is too. I used to have one like that. I think.
Yeah, he enlisted in the army or in the Marines illegally at age 17.
They call those true patriots.
Yeah,
is what they call those.
Yes, he was.
All right. My next question here is freedom free? No, that's not my next question. Imagine that overnight, everyone on Earth forgot everything they knew about video games.
Nice.
All media about games had disappeared, but all the games produced to this date continue to exist, waiting to be rediscovered.
Wow.
What would resurface as the world's most popular games?
Fortnite?
Whatever's popular right now.
Yeah, I think it's whatever's popular right now. Because like we haven't gotten rid of Marvel or
if everybody forgot what they knew about video games, would it be like there's like a mass amnesia event and everyone needs to just pick up a game and play it?
Yeah, see, I thought we were going with the premise of that movie that I don't remember the name of, where
the Beatles movie. Yeah,
Yesterday.
Yeah, we know that one. Yeah,
the Beatles don't exist. And I thought we were gonna like make millions by reinventing Minecraft or something.
What happens in that Beatles movie? I haven't seen it and don't want to, mate.
I watched the trailer, but what happens in
the end? Does he like is John Lennon like sitting around smoking weed and just like having a wonderful life?
No, what happens in the end is I haven't seen it either, but I watched a trailer that tells the whole story.
Yeah.
He admits that he didn't think of the Beatles, and then people are like, but you have to do it for everyone because they love it. And so he does. I think it's something like
That's
that.
pretty good.
I actually thought the movie you were referring to was Peggy Sue Got Married, where she time travels back to before the Beatles and pretends to write the song.
Yeah, no. This is a movie
too.
where only one guy remembers the Beatles,
Wow.
and so he any song of the Beatles that he can remember, he can compose and then perform, and then he becomes the most popular musician in the world.
Oh my God, this is just like some dork's fantasy while he's
Yes,
listening
absolutely.
to the radio,
It's
becoming popular by like,
Yeah.
I wrote that. Yeah.
I've got to say, I kind of wish I'd come up with that story.
The interesting thing about Yesterday that I know is that it's
good joke.
based on a screenplay where in the original screenplay, he tries to redo all these Beatles songs, but none of them are popular or successful because he doesn't have
That would be more
the same
interesting.
machine
That's
around him as the
interesting. Yeah,
Beatles.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
At the end of that screenplay, does John Lennon find him and shoot him? Because that's how I would finish that story so hard, dude.
Yeah.
Yoko Ono guts him with a diner spoon.
You're in me head. You've got me songs. And then me and me mate Paul are here. And then Paul comes and Paul just like blasts his corpse a couple times.
Breaks his legs.
One's got a flamethrower, one's got a machine gun.
And then this guy Ringo is walking by and he goes, "What are you blokes doing?" And then the John and Paul are like, "Who are you, mate?" And he's like, "Well, my name's Ringo. Always fancied myself a bit of a percussionist. Never quite got the knack." And then
I
they're
like
like,
that he loses his accent sometimes. I think we should keep that in. Yeah.
and then they're like, "You want to try practicing some percussion on this bloke's head with your boot?"
Yeah.
That's how I would have ended it. I think that would have been good.
I like that there's no George here at all.
No, he's
Yeah.
the coroner. He shows up at the scene.
No, I think George is a cop who wanders by.
I'm Coroner
Yeah.
George.
I think we should just never acknowledge George. It should just be a slam for no reason.
Yeah,
against
people
George.
make fun of Ringo too much. Let's put George on the fire now.
Yeah.
It's George's turn. Here comes the sun, George, and you're a vampire.
I just finally watched that documentary, and I think Ringo's all right, man.
yeah.
Ringo seems like a real smoker, in my
He
opinion.
seemed like the nicest of the boys.
Yeah. So basically, I guess our question is,
Oh, right.
who is Shigeru Miyamoto gonna kill?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the answer is Roblox.
Roblox is going to be the most popular game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it could be that. I think it could be. Actually, it might be a mobile game like Marvel Snap, just because like people will know the properties and
Yeah.
it's on phones.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that's on a device you already have because we can't, like, people will be like, why would I buy a device to play whatever this thing
Yeah, that's
is?
why I thought Fortnite. But also,
Right.
the reason it might not be Fortnite is because you don't have the decades of learning of how to move a 3D
Right.
camera.
Fortnite is a video game that is dependent on having played video games.
Yeah.
So it's not
Mhm.
Fortnite. I went Roblox because little kids just jump right into it.
So yeah, that's why I'm going with Marvel
And I was a
Snap.
little kid and I beat Metroid, so I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're not normal, Tim.
Hey, the video games were pretty normal.
Hey,
Video
that was
games-
extreme. That was the most normal thing possible at the time. Yeah.
Beating Metroid wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing else to do. It was, what was I going to do? Play baseball?
That was a different time where that's all you had. It was just, here's your game. Have fun for the next year. Yeah.
When I played baseball, they threw the ball at my head on purpose. Okay,
Oh, that's no good.
on purpose. And when they realized the helmet was a little bit better protection than compared to the strength of their arm, they started just throwing them at my torso, going for center mass. And it was very funny. And, they had very bad accuracy, but every once in a while they got one. So compared to that, I'll take beating Metroid for normalcy
I'll take it.
any goddarn day, if you know what I mean. I liked that game.
Tim, you ever hear about Justin Bailey?
Justin Bailey, the man so nice they named him twice.
That's right.
What a weird coincidence. I heard that was like some kind of bit flipping thing that it just so happened that code was a person's name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the deal is with that. And
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm already too bored to Google it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's I beat that game. You know how you beat Metroid in 1989? You just get in there, bro.
What did you do when you found out she's a Goyle?
I already knew that. We already knew that.
Everyone already knew that. That was never a mystery to anyone.
Yeah. This is actually exclusive content for persons under the age of, I don't know, 35 listening to this. In case you didn't know, for coming straight from a guy with boots on the ground at an elementary school in 1987, everybody knew Metroid was a girl. Everybody.
I didn't know.
It was spoiled in the Nintendo Power. And
yeah, that's exactly why I didn't know. But I also didn't know that I was supposed to care. A friend told me, and then I was like, all right.
Brandon was raised in an environment where it was okay for girls to be heroes.
That's right. I was raised by hippies, and so we didn't have a TV, and so I only found out about video games from other people for quite a while. And so, like at my friend's house, while he was taking his asthma medication thing that goes over his face, he was like, "Did you know that Metroid's a girl?" And I was like, "Who's Metroid?" And I guess now I do.
Well, in my case, in the elementary school, it was not phrased as any kind of a gotcha or twist. It was just, at the end, she takes her armor off. Nobody was like, and she's actually a girl. Nobody on the schoolyard said, I'm going to kill myself when they heard that. Like, nobody. Not a single kid was hanging from the monkey bars at the end of recess, dead with a noose. Made out of baseball cards or whatever kids had to make nooses
They didn't know about the wokeness war yet. So
yeah, nobody was upset about Metroid went woke.
Yeah, the real spoiler was that one day they would care about it.
Metroid goes woke, my neck goes broke. Give me some baseball cards to make her rope. That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
I don't know if we're in break right now or not, or if this is in the show. I'm going to say leave it in the show.
We're in the show.
What are you talking about?
Jeff, you asked a question and we're still answering it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't hit the buzzer yet for some reason.
I think Metroid would be the game that everybody goes for. Metroid 1. And I think everybody would acknowledge it's better than Super Metroid.
Yeah.
I think everybody would acknowledge that at this point. I think Dark Souls and their ilk have brung about kind of a deeper tendency in the human psychology to appreciate something a little more arcane.
Yeah.
And what is Metroid 1 if not Super Metroid? You know, we could say Super Metroid adds accessibility. Or we could say that it subtracts arcanity. But why not say Metroid 1 adds arcanity to Super Metroid? I wouldn't consider it a reduction at all. So there you go. It'd be
Would
Metroid
you say
1.
Metroid 2, The Return of Samus, adds arcanity to Metroid 1?
Yeah, Metroid 2, The Return of Samus is a difficult one. That game rules, but Metroid 1 has some stuff to it. I think Metroid 1 would be the new Super Mario Brothers, and I don't mean new Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo DS, and I don't mean new Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Wii. I think it would be the new Super Mario Brothers, new
lowercase
Super
n.
Mario Brothers. Yeah, the lowercase n, the new Super Mario Brothers. And the world would then enter a renaissance.
Yeah.
And there would be no more hate. There would be no more pain. There would be no more shame.
All right, you've convinced me. I'll make it happen. Everyone's going to forget video game.
But everyone they would begin every description of Metroid with just 6 years after Pac-Man. The best game ever made emerged on the Nintendo Famicom Disk System.
We'll be right back. The following ad supports the Insert Credit podcast, but is not necessarily endorsed by its individual members. This is the Insert Credit Quick Break. I'm Alex Jaffe, and this week's episode of Insert Credit is sponsored by the Houseflies, a very cool post-punk shoegaze alternative grunge goth rock band, releasing their first full album, Mannequin Deposit, on July 2nd across all platforms. I got to listen to Mannequin Deposit myself and had a very cool time. Right now you're listening to my favorite song off the album and their lead single, She Hums Mozart. Mannequin Deposit will also be available for download or on vinyl at wilhelmsons.com. Check out She Hums Mozart, Mannequin Deposit, or even the Houseflies 2022 EP Glimmer as soon as you're done listening to this episode. In fact, pause the episode, do that now, and chill out with the Houseflies as our musical interlude before we bring you back to the dirtbag. Get buggin'. Welcome back to Insert Credit. Time for us to
Thanks.
go to the dirt bag. This is the part of every episode where I take a question submitted to us by listeners who have subscribed to patreon.com/insertcredit, where for mere dollars a month, you can get access to the form that lets you submit these questions. You get monthly bonus episodes, and you get other very interesting surprises, the nature of which you'll have to discover for yourself by subscribing to patreon.com/insertcredit. This week's question comes from BluntForceMama, who asks, what properties or statistics about a game should be listed on the back of the box, nutrition facts style?
I really, really think, and I've been saying this for about 5 years now, I really, really think that the platform holders need to, they need to formalize like hooks, the way they do for achievements and trophies. They need to formalize hooks for measuring gameplay the way How Long to Beat does.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, just maybe even report directly to How Long to Beat so that none of those How Long to Beat scores that you see are anecdotal. You know, none of them are people there's no honor system there. It's all facts. And then I think once you have a system like that in place, it behooves the publisher to put an honest length on an honest How Long to Beat
Like
estimate.
you already have QA testers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do.
Well, I don't know that I would ever trust official data versus crowdsourced, but as we just discussed, I don't trust anything anymore.
Well, the idea is that the existence of an infrastructure for reporting the crowdsourced data would kind of inspire the publishers to be honest.
Well, okay.
In a perfect
I
world.
think where I was stuck was back of the box.
Yeah.
But, I let's just get rid of the notion of a physical box, right? Like,
Yeah. This is conceptual back.
browsing a digital
the store description.
Should be a Steam
right?
store.
Yeah. I would love official integration. Yeah, because they know from achievements.
Yeah.
How long actual things.
But of course,
take.
then there's like League of Legends and Fortnite and things which don't have. You can't beat those.
Lifestyle games. Yeah, sure. But I mean,
that's- that would be acknowledged as its own data point.
it would say stuff like the tutorial average length 4 hours. Obviously, the publishers would need to have something up there the day the game comes out, right? So they would have to have a non. But yeah, having a live counter going on the store would be really, really good.
It's okay if it's like reviews on Steam where it's just like not enough data yet to know if it's
sure.
It's like just they have a system for that.
I would still like honest estimates of how long, like it's like put on the back of your box or your store description. Campaign is about 30 hours and there's about 50 hours of side quests if you want.
It's okay to have them self-report if there's always real data that happens after, because they're now held accountable for accurate data, and a lot of them are going to mess up and then have to learn. Yeah.
I think it would also probably help shorter games so that people can't pretend to be confused when this game was only 2 hours long. It's like if it's straight on that. Have we talked about the How Long to Beat for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink on the show?
I don't think so.
I'm going to paste it here. So check this out.
Yeah.
This is the kind of one that gives you a very interesting question mark over your head about the game. So main story, 15 hours.
Yeah.
Main story plus extras, 36 hours. Completionist, 123 hours.
Yeah.
That makes you think, well, that's interesting. What's going on in this game?
Well, that to me looks like that looks fine. 123 hours if you really, really want to hang out. 36 if you want to play all the side quests. 16 if you want to play.
Yeah. No, it's actually it's a really good structure because the main story is short. And then there's side quests that you can do, but then the completionist thing is basically
trophies.
No, it turns into sort of a Monster Hunter. Where you can just go get everything. You can just there's things out there in the world for you to go and get. And the story's over.
Well, what this looks like to me is an ideal conventional video game with a high skill ceiling and a robust end game, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a great sort of video game to make. I like this game. I played this game.
Well, we'll get into it in the game of the year. But my criticism is that it really assumes that you've played the series before.
Played the mobile games a million billion.
Yeah, because I get into that story and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just going to skip all this because I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I guess if you're really chill with those dudes, you have yourself
Yeah,
a time.
then it's a lot more exciting. But anyway, I think this kind of thing is definitely neat. So I'm on board with
I just want to know that the rolling numbers are real.
Mhm.
That the game is like legit, like when somebody pauses the game internally, the game stops, counting the time when someone, like that the game has like some real. I think if we had real numbers for game length and we normalized that, I mean, I don't know. I honestly think one of the bigger problems with the AAA video game fan community is this constant arguing about game length, this constant equation of game length, this quality of saying this game is only like, I feel like it's been 4 months or so since that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 came out, and I just feel like the most common conversation I see is people saying PlayStation sucks because that game's only 30 hours if you don't do the side quests, and then people being like, it's the most amazing game ever because I spent 240 hours, and I'm just like, man, this needs to stop being like the conversation at the bottom of the funnel. It's like all the conversations seem to end up there. And it just needs to stop. And I think we need metrics. We need public, accurate, scientific, objective metrics.
So the nutrition facts element is a good idea.
Do we want graphics settings, tweakable graphics settings on the back of the box? Or
I honestly think, why not get Digital Foundry involved in this as well? We have the old Nintendo seal of approval. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can we get like a Digital Foundry seal of
DF
approval?
seal of approval?
Oh, I like that.
For like rock solid 4K 60 or whatever. Like there'll be like gold, silver, and bronze. Like gold is if you can get 4K 60 and ray tracing. Platinum is if it's whatever.
Yeah, well, we got runs well on Steam Deck kind of badges that you can put on. But for the Switch, you don't know until you start searching around whether this game runs at 30 or 60 or 15.
Right.
What is the ESRB rating if not a Nintendo seal of approval badge for the most boring type of robot, right? So it's like, why not add a couple more badges? You want to see some more badges? Let's verify these games.
Yeah, the ESRB's relevance is certainly receding into the background because really, who's buying Call of Duty if not 12-year-olds,
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my next question. How do you name a video game character?
Just do your best.
You usually have to use the D-pad to
thanks.
move across the letters.
Pick the letters,
Yeah.
And you want your letters in a grid.
Yeah.
You don't want your letters in a big long line that stretches from all the way on the left side to all the way on the right side.
Do you
of the
want them
screen.
A through Z or do you want them QWERTY?
QWERTY for me. I prefer.
I think
Yeah.
QWERTY by default. Let people mix it up if they want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you heard a child say in public that they can't type on a laptop or a computer keyboard because it's too slow? Have you heard this?
No.
No.
I have. I've heard kids say, I can't type on a laptop. And they're sitting there just tapping on their phones with their fingers.
Well, it makes sense. Like because they're used to just having small screen space, 2 thumbs.
Are they doing that or swiping?
I don't no, kids don't swipe. I know because I can hear it's New York and everybody keeps the volume all the way up on their phones all the time and they keep the tap sounds on.
Okay,
I don't disbelieve them when they say that.
Yeah.
I believe they can't type as fast on a computer keyboard, but I don't like the dismissiveness of their tone. I've got 10 fingers what can type. Well, I got 8 that can type, not 2 thumbs. You can do it better. You can learn it, Carl. If I did, you can, kids. Everybody get out there and check out a keyboard. I got one right here.
Go see Mavis Beacon.
Look at that. There's one right there. Got a keyboard. How do you name a video game character? Well, if she's an Asian female and she's wearing green, you legally have to name her Jade. Did you know this?
Yeah.
I did hear that, yes.
You legally have to, and it's a shame. It is literally the American law. I'm referencing a tweet by my buddy Richmond that he made 6 years ago about how Martina in Dragon Quest got renamed Jade, which is very funny because she's the only Asian female character in the game, and so he's just pointing out all these how every Asian female character for a huge long period of time in video games. In Western games was named Jade, and it's very fun. He's got 4 there in the lead tweet, which is pretty good.
Oh yeah, there's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah. There's they're all in there. I mean, he's got a whole thread of them, which is
the lady in Jade Empire wears red, so that's confusing.
well, yeah, but that's the Empire. That was Jade, Carl.
Yeah, they were colorblind.
That's probably what the problem was. Yeah.
What's the difference between Jade and Ruby? I don't know.
Couple months.
I don't know enough about colorblindness to craft a meaningful punchline is the answer there.
Or gemology.
So anyway, you name a character, try to have a little fun. What I did in Demon School was I basically took regular names and I made them a little weirder.
Oh, like George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, like
You
George
twist 'em a bit.
R. R. Martin.
Samuel is such a good name.
Yeah.
It's something that I guess is a spoiler, so I won't mention it. But all the characters from a certain place have a certain style of name, so that you can kind of tell that they're from a certain place. But I won't get into it too much. But you can do things like that. You can try to theme people's names so that they sound like they're from the same zone.
Yeah.
That's fun to do. Try not to make them too boring unless that's funny. But why bother making boring names? Like there's all kind. You can name people all kinds of stuff. Why not go for it?
Better for SEO if you name them something weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on a video game for a while over here. I'm not going to talk about it in any detail, but I think it has 4 of the best fictional character names I've ever heard in my life. Their names I banked up for years, and they seem so cool together.
You can also accidentally make extremely good names by being in Japan and working on a 90s arcade game. You get Jad the Taff and Edie Burritt.
George Lucas famously kept a notepad of just like names he thought up that he would sit on for like 30 years before he would get to finally use them.
But weren't his names like Dark Bad Guy?
Yeah, all of his names are terrible.
Yeah, but some of them are like Mace Windu.
And Mace Windu's not
What,
bad.
is that an example of a good name you're saying?
Yes, that's an example of a good name.
Okay, it sounds like
It's a good Star Wars name.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's so fun to just know the name of the main character of my game that's going to just instantly become like the most iconic name in the history of fiction as soon as this game comes out. It's so good. It's like
Joe Kerr.
No, nobody's ever going to guess. It's so good.
Yeah.
My God.
Just come back to episode 347 of Insert Credit to hear this called shot after Tim's game comes out.
It's going to be so funny.
All right.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, I like that name. Oh my God. How
Okay.
am I name my child after that?
I'm taking a little bit of a risk with this next question, but I would like to get your thoughts on it. What is the Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us of video games?
Not like us. Which episode was that of the
That was the last one.
last one?
The Song of the Summer, which was basically the victory blow in this whole Kendrick Drake beef.
It's hard to like, okay, so the Kendrick Drake thing, I mean, Sonic, like Super Mario never called Sonic the Hedgehog a pedophile.
That's true.
Right. But he could have a couple times, right? Like
the advertising that Turbo Technologies Inc. and Johnny Turbo was doing. I feel like if they had thought of calling Sonic a pedophile or something, I think they might have
they would have
done
it. They would have done it
if they had thought of it. But they
Mario
didn't.
never dropped a decisive, indisputable victory on Sonic. Right.
That we know of. Let's be clear.
No. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It has to have been public for it to qualify here.
I think it's probably more like game developer beefs. Drake went from a superstar to the butt of jokes and memes like really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to have it be like someone that got canceled for doing abhorrent stuff necessarily, but I feel like somebody who was hailed as a visionary and then became a joke. So like David Cage did it to himself, for example, something like that. But I don't want to call too many people out.
Yeah, like if there was like a David Cage parody game or something that like became more popular than his game, like that would count. But
that
we
would
don't
be
really
the
have
kind of
anything
thing.
like that.
Like maybe the Peter Molly Do Twitter account from a while ago counts.
Yeah,
I think that guy ate his
of.
own skull, and then they found him in a junkyard.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think the closest qualifier here is what Hideo Kojima did a couple months ago when he announced a couple new video games. They showed the Death Stranding 2 trailer. He introduced his game. He talked about his game OD, which is going to be something brand new, a new concept. And then he straight up said, Also, I've decided to make another military tactical stealth espionage video game similar to Metal Gear Solid, and it's in pre-production now, and it's going to be the best video game I've ever made in my life.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that
And
might
then
be it.
the drone camera like zoomed out to show a sign that said the name Fizzint on it, which is the name of the game. It's called Fizzint, which actually is it's a military term. It's fine. It means physical intelligence. It's one of the types of intelligence. There's many types of intelligence out there. It's not just thinking Metroid 1 is the best. There's other types of intelligence. There's other quantified variety. But anyway, him dunking on Konami,
Yeah, that might
which
be
is
it.
what that was, man. He was kicking him in the balls. He was calling Konami a pedo.
Honestly, Death Stranding 1 might qualify as him proving he can do it better than Konami.
Well, sure. Death Stranding 1 is like the first drop.
That lost a lot of money though, so I don't know that that's necessarily the greatest.
It was Kojima proving himself, and then it was also Konami makes their Metal Gear Survive game.
Yeah.
That kind of that's Drake's Retaliation, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're doing this right.
I think so. Relatively limp Retaliation. That's
Mhm.
like I tried.
That's Uncharted 6, right? Drake's Retaliation.
Drake's Retaliation.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's coming back.
I'll play it.
Man, it's so fun to scroll down Instagram and see like posts by Naughty Dog that are like Naughty Dog loves to celebrate, appreciate, and recognize good cosplayers. So they like repost their images and attribute them and everything. Like, here's a really good Ellie cosplay. Here's a really good Abby cosplay. Here's a really good Joel cosplay. And then all the comments are like, if you don't make Uncharted 5, I'm gonna park a U-Haul in front of your office. And it's just like, oh my God, like what is wrong with people? Like, do you really want another Uncharted? I mean, yeah, it would be pretty cool.
I'd play it.
I've seen the movie, and I can tell you, a little bit more like that, please.
The movie was basically just a redux of the game, but
Yeah, I know that's my joke.
Oh, okay.
It's, just make another one like that.
Kamiya dunks on people all the time. There's probably something in there as well.
I don't want to be mean, but
those dunks are
Kamiya,
not very
yeah.
Kamiya's dunks look like a man trying to kill multiple cops with a lasagna noodle is what it looks like.
Yeah.
The man comes across as, no offense to him, he comes across as I don't want to be mean.
Well, I feel like we could say
I don't
that
wanna
it
be
is
mean.
Kamiya is setting himself up to be the Drake of the situation. Is kind of where I'm going.
Weak is the word.
Yeah.
He's weak.
I think someone who makes an amazing Devil May Cry like or something can be the Kendrick Lamar of
I guess the
comic.
person who makes an amazing Devil May Cry like is like dozens of people doing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of tedious work that the loud guy who blocks people on Twitter probably doesn't really understand.
Yeah.
No offense to him.
Yeah, there was just a thing where he was saying that the Okami team was not very good. He called them weak. I feel like that's
classic.
that is quite a weak thing to say.
Yeah,
So,
classic ineffectual man behavior.
yeah.
No offense to him, though. Seems like a decent guy.
That sound means that it's time for us to return to Violence Island. It's been a while. We're going to take some of the matches between fictional video game characters that have been submitted to us at forums.insertcredit.com. We're going to see who would win against each other in a fight. We're going to pit the winners against each other, spin the wheel of violence to give each of them a status effect as they move through the table. And then the winner will complete our table for the Tournament of Champions, which we'll do the next time this comes up to bring Season 3 of Violence Island to a close. Our first match of the evening is Cool Spot versus Pepsi Man.
Okay.
Well,
Pepsi
Pepsi Man would kick Cool Spot just out into the sea.
Yeah, Cool Spot is, as per the canon of the game, he's like 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he makes like really annoying, like what? Like doesn't he scream?
Now, if it were Cruel Spot, it would be a different story. That guy's tough.
His jump is also really floaty.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so floaty. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Is it the exact same jump as Earthworm Jim?
It's extremely close. Yeah, it is
as I'm
extremely
playing it
close.
back in my head. They have the same.
And he's barely even 3D.
He did go to Hollywood. I don't know.
Spot does go to Hollywood.
He did
yeah.
go there, yeah. But yeah, Pepsi Man can run and kick. Cool Spot does have a gun, but again, he's 2 inches
He
tall.
fires 7-Up bubbles.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to do much against Pepsi Man.
No.
He's already carbonated.
Pepsi Man would just drink that guy down.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't. He only drinks Pepsi.
It's true.
Yeah, he actually dies if he drinks anything else.
He'd drink him and then he'd throw up.
And then Cool Spot would still be fine. He'd just
maybe
be
you're right.
His original plan of kicking him into the sea works for me.
Y'all are trying to avoid the inevitability that he's going to step on him and Cool Spot's going to bleed all over the sand.
Yeah. Cool Spot blood on the sand.
The Cool Spot has so much. You're just trying to keep me from mentioning the well-acknowledged fact that Cool Spot has a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Well,
He's just a big blood cell.
so I think you're right, but it's going to be really like hard to watch because I think Cool Spot also has really thick skin.
Yeah.
So I think Pepsi Man is going to it's going to take like a solid 2 minutes for him to smashing, and while the Cool Spot's screaming and he's just like digging his heel in and twisting and stuff and just trying to find something to catch on his flesh to rip it open. I think it's going to be really hard to watch.
There's 2 things I know about Cool Spot. A, thick skin. B, voluminous blood. I think Pepsi Man can get to it, though.
A torrent of blood.
Thick skin only in the literal sense, though.
Yeah.
Like if you make fun of him, he will just emotionally
Now, Cool Spot
shatter.
versus Dracula. Like Dracula would just suck.
Well,
suck it all
hey,
out
it
of
might be upcoming. You don't spoil.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Cool Spot and Alucard.
I mean, but Cool Spot's already dead, so
Yeah.
right,
Oh,
he's
that's
dead.
right. You're right. You're right. Okay.
All right. Well,
Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, Pepsi Man advances. Our next match is Professor Layton versus Aegis as she appears in Persona 3 The Answer.
Okay,
Well-
I don't. That's a very I don't remember what she looks like in that particular one, or they. I don't know if Aegis is actually a female.
Persona. Professor Layton's kind of an idiot. No offense to him.
Yeah.
If he needs a child's help to solve basic puzzles that I solved as a child,
Yeah.
right?
Does he have the child with him?
Does he have his baby boy with him? Does he have his little dog with him?
I'm going to say no.
Does he have his lap chibis
Well,
with him?
Solo Layton? I think he just doesn't know how to cross the street and he dies.
Solo Layton is good for one thing. Barbecue at a goddarn cannibal's birthday
I'm
party.
dropping a picture of Aegis from Persona 3
I was
The
just
Answer in
about
the
to
chat.
share the exact same image of Aegis, just so that we all had the context of Aegis with a Gatling gun and a missile
Yeah.
launcher and a bazooka. So anyway, it's not a contest. Aegis
Yeah,
wins.
Layton's going to be counting the cannon ends of that Gatling gun.
He's
Yeah.
gonna go
One,
one,
two,
two,
three.
3, 4, 5, 6, and then he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next match is Diogenes from Getting Over It versus Hammerin' Harry.
Okay, they both have hammers.
So that's just the lead character in Getting Over It, right? There's not another
Yeah.
character, right? Okay,
That's the guy in the pot.
Yeah, he's the only guy.
Harry's got legs, dude. That's
He's
over.
got legs. He can run around. Yeah. He
Yeah.
has a much easier time traversing an environment.
And in fact, he can do, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't spend a lot of time playing Hammering Harry, I must admit, but I believe
just played it a couple
he
weeks
has-
ago.
I'm sure you did. I believe that he has a down attack, right? Like he can jump and you can hold, you can Scrooge Pogo basically, but
Yeah.
with a hammer, if I'm
I think
remembering
that's
right.
I can't
Counterpoint,
remember.
I don't think Diogenes can die, though. He falls from incredibly great heights and he's fine.
That's true.
Yeah, but again, island, knock him into the sea.
True.
Knock him
Yeah,
into the
there's
sea.
nothing to grip onto down there except the
Yeah.
ocean floor.
Well,
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
he grip on flat land? Can he do anything with flat land?
No.
Yeah, he can get
So-
up.
Oh yeah,
He can
no, he
push
can.
off
He
of
can.
it.
He can
He can.
push the. He can
Yeah.
push the hammer
Okay.
under himself, and
So he can't escape if he's just abandoned. Okay.
But he's very slow.
I think if he's hammer home runned out into the ocean, he's not going to get out in time before he dies. We don't know. In the game, he may fall from great heights, but he does not ever fall into the ocean.
Yeah, he's always
so-
drinking oxygen up there on that mountain. So
Yeah, really good oxygen too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
yep. So Hammer and Harry.
Okay, next match is Ruby Weapon from Final Fantasy VII versus Wander from Shadow of the Colossus.
Ruby Weapon's got it.
I think so.
All of the Colossus. I'm going to say this, and I mean, We already revealed on this episode of the show that Eco's just one big escort mission. So escort mission haters, you've got your orders to hate Eco now. The Shadow of the Colossus is all boss fights, but man, those are some god darn college video store watching the battleship Potemkin and pretending I think it's better than Pulp Fiction kind of video game boss battles. No offense. Those boss battles aren't very good in Shadow of the Colossus. They're rote. I mean, this guy, he's killed all these god darn big old giant monsters, but he's never killed one with any actual fight in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they tried to fight in that they tried to
live.
Leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But, yeah.
Ruby Weapon famously kills 2 of your party members on the very first turn, and it's non-negotiably, right? So it's non-negotiably. So the horse is dead, and I guess that means our guy is dead as well.
Yeah, because that's the only 2 there are, really.
Yeah, there's
wait, I don't like this rule, because this is now this is just Violence Island champion by default.
That's true.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Well, okay. I mean, those are the 2 though. He's killed 2. So now, there's a chance for somebody to kill him.
I'm good with that.
All right, which means it's time for us to spin the wheel of violence. In our semifinal, our first match is Pepsi Man versus Aegis. Pepsi Man has been branded an enemy of the Catholic Church, so he has to deal with that.
Okay.
And Aegis has an extra life. They have to be defeated twice.
Okay, well, I mean, it's going to be Aegis then.
Yeah.
Because, what, Pepsi Man's going to hell now?
Yeah.
Pepsi Man trips over stuff all the time. Like he's not going to make it in any kind of a fight against somebody with real.
Yeah, he doesn't have significant combat skills. But he doesn't have any eyeballs. But that doesn't help.
He can jump. He can slide. Mm-hmm. Is that it?
He can go left and right.
He can move left and right. Good luck with that, pal.
He can drink Pepsi.
Well, I mean, he's limited by that moveset and his guild. His Catholic guild.
Well, actually, and his Catholic guild. He does have the ability to punch and kick. He can fight his Megamix.
Okay.
So he's
sure
in the Japanese version.
But he didn't have the guilt on his mind in that game, though.
No, it's true. But also, Aegis still has not only all those weapons, but double the life. So Aegis is winning.
I don't think Aegis even expends her extra life on this.
Oh, absolutely no. She just pulls the trigger.
Yeah. And drinks the delicious Pepsi within.
Hammer and Harry has suffered a knee injury,
he's
and
done.
Ruby Weapon has been stricken by the curse of Babel and can no longer speak a recognizable language.
Oh, unfortunately, Ruby Weapon doesn't actually speak a language.
Yeah, so that is
fine.
Shoot. Hammer and Harry, meanwhile, we know that knee injuries are just the number one thing among,
construction workers,
manual labor individuals, construction workers.
It makes sense that it would happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, that puts them out of commission effectively.
Yeah.
Ironically, if Diogenes won this, he'd be completely unaffected by that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep. Just keeping those knees in a pot.
Ruby Weapon.
Ruby Weapon wins.
Which means Aegis maybe gets to spend her extra life in this final.
Well, so first of all, having auto resurrection.
That's too much.
Well, no, having auto resurrection on your character in Final Fantasy VII is one of the necessaries for fighting Ruby Weapon.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that she's showing up with that is, it's pretty interesting. Now, if I'm giving it down to raw integers of the RPG design, like the actual, the number, the actual integers one encounters in the video games Persona 3 and Final Fantasy VII, there's no way she's putting up the numbers to kill. Ruby Weapon has 1 million hit points, in case you didn't know this. I know that off the top of my head because it's easy to remember. It was fun to know there's a Final Fantasy boss with 1 million hit points out there. To do 1 million points of damage on a Persona boss is a harrowing prospect. So I don't know. But putting that all aside and assuming some sort of scalability, I think she stands more chance than any Final Fantasy VII character does.
Yeah, I was going to say it comes down to it's kind of like, okay, her versus Cloud. Right?
So I've been trying to
Cloud can
research this right now because I can't remember. Can Aegis summon personas?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Aegis is what do you call it? A sentient weapon.
She's a robot and all, but can she? Yeah. But since she's
got personas.
She's playable. If she's got personas, then I feel like that changes the game a little bit because she should be able to access at least 2 of them.
She can't usually, but she can in Persona 3 The Answer, which is the version that we're drawing from.
Okay. So I think now she's essentially got 3 party members. I mean, 2 in addition to herself. So she's got 3. She's got 2 personas, and they will take damage before her, and she has her extra life, and she can do not exactly triple damage, but of her normal. So I think she's got a chance to win.
Yeah, I think it's a fair fight.
I want to give it to her at the expense of her extra life.
Sure. Let's say she loses the extra life. I would just make a quick note that having killed Ruby Weapon multiple times and several Final Fantasy VII saves, what I will say is that this fight, in an adjective, if I had to give an adjective to what this fight would be like to watch live on the beach of Violence Island, that adjective is boring.
Yeah, tedious.
It would be very, very boring to
just
watch.
Chipping away.
Have you ever bitten your nails whilst bored? Because that's what this is. It's a boring nail biter. You only bite your nails in anticipation because you're scared of it ending and then having to start it all over again.
Yeah.
As someone who used to create CPU versus CPU matches in Advance Wars, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Such fun to watch.
Yeah. But that's it for Violence Island this week. And next time we do it, we're going to move on to our championship, where I'll spin the wheel of violence once again for every surviving member. Nice. Thank you for listening to this episode of Insert Credit. It's been a hoot and a half. Does anyone have any recommendations for our audience?
I don't really. I've been watching I've been watching a few things, and I don't recommend any of them.
That's good.
It's, can't all be winners.
I've been playing a game that has definitely been recommended on this show, which is that Steam Summer Sale. That Hitman was $3. So got that Hitman.
Yeah.
And
what do you think?
I don't know what the time to complete is on that game, but I will say that my way of approaching that game was I'm going to play the tutorial and the first level, and I'm going to do all of the things that one can do in that first level so that I feel that I know how to play this game, and then I'll figure out what I do from there. 22 hours later, I'm on level 2 and having a great time. I don't typically like things that take this long, but I think this game is really interesting. I think it feels like a lot of the game design holy grails that were in my head when I got in this industry in like 2004. I think it's like what I imagined VR would be, and that it's like this interactive theater where you move around an environment and things are happening with or without you. I think it figured out episodic gaming. I think it's the old Warren Spector like mystery on a street kind of thing that we
one
talk
block
about
RPG.
Yeah, like it's
One
just
block
all of those
RPG.
things, and except it's 21 times.
Yeah, it's a one block RPG. It's a point and click adventure game. It's replayable. It's also prestige and cinematic. It's a Metal Gear Solid. It's a James Bond.
And you can just throw roguelike in there if you feel like it.
You can just turn on the roguelike mode if you want. It's an immersive sim that you don't really have to get too immersed into because it's episodes. It's it's pound for pound. They are over there at IO Interactive in Copenhagen, Denmark, the best game developers in the world, in my opinion. Having played the trash out of those Hitmans.
One reason that I'm a little wary of playing it is because I'm worried it might make me want to quit.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly discouraging. The fact that they're making a James Bond game, dude.
Oh my god, I forgot.
Wow.
Oh my god,
it's gonna be so good. So if you've only gotten to the second level, I won't spoil anything. I'm
very far in. Like I think I'm about done with the second level, but
they just keep getting better.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it gets to a point where you can just play the levels you get good enough where you can play the levels are only like 5-10 minutes long. you know, which is why it's so deranged that you can very painlessly spend 20 some hours on one level. It's like it rules because there are so many different things. The immersive theater aspect of it is absolutely bonkers. I mean, I've been joking for several years, immersive theater, that I want my 47th birthday party to be an immersive recreation of Curtains Down from Hitman Blood Money, which is a level that takes place in a theater where you have to kill a guy whose character gets assassinated during a play, right? So there's a character who is executed during a scene in a play who you have to assassinate. Very good premise for a Hitman level. The premises were very small. I don't know if you played any of the old ones, Frank. Did you?
Barely, like the first one, and then a little bit of, I think, Blood Money.
The premises in the old ones for every level, the premises were a lot smaller and neater and like more oh, look at that, or hey, that sounds neat. Whereas now they're much more like you're in Dubai in the Burj Khalifa and you have to kill this guy, right? And it's a party for a museum exhibit opening. That's Hitman 3 level 1, not to spoil anything. Or you're at an F1 race in Miami and you have to kill one of the drivers, right? Like they're like big budget blockbuster stuff now, and it usually comes down to a city. It's like you're in Shanghai, and it's like that's the level, as you're in a neighborhood in Shanghai. They used to be really, really small, where it's like you're in a theater during the rehearsal for a play. Their greatness at making this exact thing has snowballed to insane magnitude with the Hitman trilogy that you have just begun playing on your PC. So bon appetit, dude. It's
I want to also add that, like, it's incredible how simple this game is also.
Yeah, you pick up stuff and what can I do with this? Well,
it's just locks and keys and stealth. That's the entire game.
It's like imagine a world with thousands of locks and hundreds of keys, and you can throw all of the keys at people if they are chasing you. And you need to hurt their eyes really quick. And it's just the verbs are just use the thing or throw it. Yeah. And if it's a gun, you can shoot it, right?
And yet it feels like, oh, I'm in Paris.
Exactly.
I'm at a museum thing. I am at a fashion show. Like, it just feels that, even though it's just a very simple series of.
It is just an ode to the explosive power of the minimum effective dose. In my opinion, they give you the minimum effective dose of game design on every item, and it just turns into a goddarn symphony.
So I believe the Steam Summer Sale will be over by the time this comes out, but whatever it is, go ahead and pay it. It was $3 to get all the Hitman 1 content in Hitman World of Assassination. After I realized that I was like, whatever it was, 22 hours in and past the first level, I just went and bought the rest. I might never even play it, but it was just like, take my $27 as a tip. Like this.
Yeah. I mean, if you're enjoying it that much, you might at some point become a Hitman player, where just where you get into the level and you just kind of want to clear them all and then go back and give it another coat of paint, just do them all again a slightly different way. It's very rewarding to just replay those because they're the best video game things in the world, in my opinion.
Is that your recommendation this week as well?
I mean, I recommend that every week on my streams. I tell people who are unacquainted with video games who ask me, "Oh, you make video games? You make videos about video games? What's a video game I should play? I don't like video games. I've never played one. Last one I played was Pac-Man." I always say, "Oh, play Yakuza or Hitman." And if they come back and say, "Oh, I don't know if either of these looks like my thing," I go smoke some weed. Like, I don't know, like figure something else out.
Hitman stressed me out, but Yakuza was 100% my thing. So it's got to be one of those.
I mean, there's ways to equip yourself for Hitman where you don't feel stressed out, which is to just really, really enjoy the clown balloonishness of floppy failure and just really enjoy it.
And also, speaking of, we didn't even mention this game's very funny.
Yeah, it's a comedy machine. It's really funny. If anyone is really, really like interested in Hitman, I would honestly recommend trying Hitman 2. That's the 2018 Hitman. Hitman 2 Stage 1, aforementioned auto race in Miami. There's an exhibition race in Miami where you're part of a huge crowd of people watching a race, and it recreates the racetrack experience it's a very good, readily available illustration of what these guys do over there. This is another fun thing. The episodic aspect, you can play pretty much any level disconnected from all the others.
Mhm.
There's story stuff, and I think the story stuff is good. And some vintage Hitman players comment that they think the focus on story stuff is unwelcome, or at least it's not super well implemented. I think it's good. It's fine to a point of being good, but you can ignore it if you want.
It's the backbone of the TV season. It's not. It's not cliffhangers at the end of everything. It's just the thing that ties them all together. Is my take on it. 2 levels in, anyway.
Yeah. It's you don't need to follow the story, and you can play the levels out of order if you just want to play a taster. I would try that.
I actually feel like I could warp to like one of the last levels and be fine, which is really
yeah. But you play them all because they're just cool, and each one they add stuff. Each level has just wrinkles and aspects that none of the other levels do. So they manage to flex a slightly different something every time, and it's their approach to crafting a level is got to be it's got to be just more refined, more interesting than most like thought that goes behind making full video games. Like it's truly marvelous. Truly marvelous stuff.
You know what else is truly marvelous? You, the listener, for making it all the way to the end of this episode.
Aww.
If you enjoyed this,
what is that? But that's very offensive to me. Wow.
Why?
Oh, because the episode was so difficult to listen.
You're marvelous for having gotten this far.
Yeah, because we appreciate you for being here,
for bearing with us as we bring this terrible show that you hate.
You clearly love this show, and that's what I appreciate about you. And if you love this show, which you should have if you've made it this far,
unless you're hate listening,
I would recommend you rate and review our show however you can, unless you're a hate listener. Even if you are, give us 5 stars so you can keep hate listening. You can also support us on patreon.com/insertcredit to pay most of the people involved here. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, you can do that by contacting me at show@insertcredit.com. You could also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Spaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And baby Billy needs a new set of headphones.
Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers.
Baby Billy is Bible Bonkers.
Is this 347?
Yeah.
No, that's a good number for a Hitman recommendation episode.
Exactly.
Hitman 3, Agent 47. What's up? All right, bye.
Bye. Bye.